All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to be talking about a tweet that was posted by Electronic Arts that is likely going to go down in history as one of the worst tweets that they have ever posted. And if this isn't further confirmation that EA is so out of touch with reality and what their consumers are wanting, then I don't know what more evidence that you need. It has got to be one of the top 5 worst tweets from a gaming publisher and company in general, especially whenever you have your own game developers and different influencers and industry professionals that are completely roasting you on Twitter, then you know you kind of messed up. So according to Electronic Arts, they tweeted, "They're a 10, but they only like playing single player games." Now, if you guys are not aware of this meme, it's been going around on Twitter and other social media platforms where essentially what happens is they're stating that the person is a 10, but they've got one major flaw that doesn't make them a 10 and it takes them down a couple notches. And in this case, EA thinks that that is playing single player games, which is arguably one of the worst takes of the century. And needless to say, EA is getting completely roasted for it. So first off, I've just got to say this: just because a game is not making as much money as a multiplayer game is, especially whenever you compare it to the Madden franchise and just the entire EA Sports roster, it's almost impossible to compete with that because normies spend a lot of money, doesn't mean it is a bad game or it's not something that should be appreciated. Take a look at all of the success stories that EA has published in recent memory. You have Respawn Entertainment's Jedi Fallen Order and the upcoming sequel to that game, Jedi Survivor, that has fans super excited to play that game. And then you got Mass Effect Legendary Edition that sits at a 9 of 10 on Steam. They released just last year that actually did better in terms of sales than EA expected it to do. A common trend that you'll see with EA published games is if EA just removes their freaking claws out of the equation, then the games usually end up being successful. It's almost like if EA just gave developers the time and money and invested in single player experiences, then they'll see they make money off of it. It's almost like single player games are one of the most popular aspects of gaming in general. The last time that an online multiplayer game actually won Game of the Year was in 2016 with Overwatch. Sure, you could argue that It Takes Two, a game that was published by EA that is a multiplayer game, granted it's a split screen couch co-op game that really doesn't have any other multiplayer aspects besides 2 players, won Game of the Year last year, but I would consider that more of a narrative driven co-op game rather than a multiplayer game. Regardless though, this tweet shows that EA has no interest in single player games, and we've all kind of known that ever since they shut down Visceral Games, which, if you did not know, is the studio that made Dead Space. It's currently getting a remake next year. It was created by Glenn Schofield and Michael Condrey of Visceral Games. Schofield, obviously, you know, that's releasing a new game, Callisto Protocol, that's also a space sci-fi horror game that's releasing this year in December. Yeah, it's almost like they probably shouldn't have bit off the hand that fed them. I want nothing more than for Callisto Protocol to completely blow away expectations so that Glenn Schofield can just give a nice little middle finger to EA for being one of the reasons that the studio failed. Now, to put it lightly, Twitter was a complete disaster after this tweet was posted, obviously because it was a really bad take. Influencers, industry professionals, and even EA's own developers that were completely demolishing them on Twitter. Tom Henderson replying, "They're a 10, but they blame Battlefield 2042's launch on Halo Infinite." The Ackman saying, "This you," replying with an image of Jedi Survivor. Paul Tassi responding with, "Understandable you are unfamiliar with the concept of 10s." Video Game Donkey chiming in with, "How are your tweets worse than your games?" Zach Mumbach, previously of Visceral Games, actually quote tweeted it and completely destroyed them, stating, "This is the company that shut down my studio and laid off 100 great developers because we were making a single player game." Corey Barlog, the creative director behind God of War Ragnarok and God of War in 2018, tweeted out, "Single player games forever." Bungie's social media manager stating, "You're a 10, but you didn't DM me beforehand." The legend Jacksepticeye responding with, "They're a 10, but they thought this tweet was a good idea," and it currently has 111,000 likes, completely ratioing the original tweet. And by far my favorite reply is coming from Vince Zampella, the head of Respawn Entertainment, replying with just a facepalm emoji, getting 20,000 likes. I'm sure he read that tweet and he's like, "EA, homies, guys, I'm doing my best to save your company one successful game after another. You got Apex Legends, it's one of the biggest EA games. Obviously Jedi Fallen Order and the upcoming Jedi Survivor." He's probably like, "Dude, what are you guys doing? We are trying our best here to deliver good games, not only multiplayer experiences like Titanfall 2 and Apex Legends, but also great single player games like the Titanfall 2 campaign, as well as Jedi Survivor and Fallen Order." I really want to believe that this is one of those cases where any press is good press, but unfortunately that is just not the case. I think EA is just so tone deaf to what the core community and what consumers are looking for that it's just absolutely mind blowing. We don't want gacha games. We don't want games that are fully focused on multiplayer multiplayer that are live service, that don't release with any new content for over 8 months. We want full, complete experiences with our games that we buy, not games that are like release now and fix later, like we've seen with Battlefield 2042 and Anthem. But I really feel like it's a systemic problem with EA. They all really believe that what is driving the profits is what people want. That is just not the case. A game that is a single player experience is going to make less money than any game that is a multiplayer experience that is continuously releasing content, or if you're Battlefield lack thereof. Either way, the point still remains. Single player games just don't drive as much revenue as a multiplayer game. Luckily, the next Battlefield game will feature a single player campaign because Marcus Leto is actually going to be developing a studio with that. And then if you got the next Dragon Age game that is currently in development that will also be a single player only game, I'm sure EA was probably seething after they approved that to be a single player game. They're probably like, dude, we can make so much more money if it was multiplayer. We could do like Dragon Age Inquisition and have a store and release loot boxes and all of the microtransactions. Oh, what could have been. And I guarantee whenever Dreadwolf comes out, I bet you anything it will turn out to be a better game if they just let BioWare do whatever BioWare wants to do and they don't rush them in the development to get the game releasing as soon as possible. How are they ever going to meet their earnings goals if they don't release multiplayer games that are half done? Oh, the horror of having to wait for a good game. I'm not saying that EA should only focus on single player games. All I'm saying is they have been so focused on jamming down live service games that are multiplayer that are half done with no real intentions of fixing those games in the future, just so they can make a quick buck and meet their goals for the short term. This is one of the reasons why I think EA is the next company that is poised to be sold. Whether or not it'll be Microsoft or another big tech giant like Apple or Google, either way, I think the jig is going to be up pretty soon for EA. And whenever that does happen, I hope that whatever company gets the IP for a lot of these games does a better job than what EA is currently doing right now. But yeah, guys, that is going to wrap it up with this video. Let me know what your thoughts are on it. This is a new style of video that I've done. I've not really done a rant in a while. It's been really nice to do this. So if you guys would like to see more content like this in the future, definitely do me a favor, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel with your notifications on, and don't forget to stay tuned to the channel very soon because I've got a lot more content like this as well as the normal Battlefield 2042 news. If you guys would like to stay up to date with all of my tweets and just gaming news and industry news in general, definitely go follow my Twitter. And if you guys would like to join the conversation, talk to me directly about Battlefield and just gaming news in general, definitely join the Discord. The link is in the description. Thanks again for watching, guys. This has been Wes, and I will talk to you guys again soon.